Hello everybody, welcome to number 27, I'm Jack and this is the BisMerc, and this week's going to be amazing because it is going to get painted. I believe it's going to be Wednesday, but in the meantime I've had to do, doing as much prep as possible. So, you can see here I've removed all the various seals, the front grille, various other bits of trim as well. This front bumper still has to come off because I've got to get those chrome bits of trim off. But lots of stuff has come off. All the roof channeling, windscreen seals. At the back here, I've got I don't know if I've shown you, I probably haven't. I've got another windscreen anyway, so this is going to come out for painting. It makes sense because I've got a new screen. But I've got someone coming who knows what they're doing because I don't want to mess with that. Here is some of the stuff that's been removed. There is more at the other side of the room, but there's a lot of bits of trim and so on that these cars use. Also started doing light filling around the bits that have been welded, other bits of trim that have come off, just to show you the amount of, the over-engineering on these cars. This is a bit of plastic trim on the back of the BisMerc, right? And it has one screw bolt, one screw there, one bolt, one bolt, one bolt, one bolt, one bolt, one bolt, and then another screw there. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attachment points for a little bit of plastic trim, when literally two would have done just as well. So with these W124s, whenever you remove something, just try and go for about 4 or 5 times the normal amount of screws that you'd get, because that's kind of what it is. I guess that's part of the joy of these cars. I've also, I don't know if you can see underneath, I started by treating the bits that were welded with Por 14 just as an absolute, just as a base. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to use wax oil to get a protective skin over it. I've got some Dinitrol stuff as well, spray on, so I'll decide which of the two to use. Got to use some seam sealer, I haven't done that yet, just at the top there where it was welded, to make sure that that is protected. Also have to show you something that's really quite exciting. And here it is. I have got a leather interior. This is, I don't know what they call it, I think it's the cream, although it's sort of a cross between cream and tan. And it is, apart from the armrest, in remarkably good condition. It all looks great. I don't know if it's been recoloured or not. But there's no big tears or anything like that. And it's definitely pretty usable. I've got the door cards there. Those are the rear door cards. Centre armrest for the rear. The trims for the rear. But that's about it. So I am going to need a few other bits, which I think Jasmine's going to help me with. But if any of you have any cream bits that you want to donate to the project, then feel free to get in touch with me. Instagram is the best way. But basically, I still need a cream carpet and a cream lower dash, and I don't know, anything else you can think of. There's loads of bits of trim for these cars that are sort of specific. But anyway, that is great news because the door cards are in good nick, everything is in good nick. It cost me very little. If you want my cloth interior, if you want to buy that and you're interested, then again, Instagram please, and we'll see if we can arrange that. But yeah, I'm quite excited. I'm getting too far deep into this car. I bought it as a real sort of like, okay, I'm going to lash it up, make it look nice really quickly and easily and cheaply. And, you know, I think last week I was welding the rear arch. It's just ridiculous the amount of work that I'm doing to it, but let's hope it's worth it. Most of the prep has been done, so now time to lower the BisMerc, take it out, and then do the sanding, which I'm going to do outside, because otherwise my garage is going to become a bit of a mess. So in theory, should go up. Yeah. Okay, then these clips are moved on each side. Right. And then we should see the BisMerc lowering. Yep. So this is, I've just realised also, this is the first time that it'll be running on the new exhaust. So really curious to see what it sounds like, or to hear what it sounds like rather. The engine sounds so much better with that exhaust in. It's unbelievable. It's making it sound like a luxury car again. So pleased with that. One thing it has highlighted, now you can't hear the horrible sound from the back, is that it's blowing along the length of the exhaust. So there's a little bit there that needs to be repaired. So I have to sort that out as well at some point. But massive improvement. I've got to sand down all these lines, which will become really apparent when any paint goes on top. So that's all got to be completely smooth. I mean, obviously I'm not going down to bare metal. Got to finish off. I've just put some more filler there just to smooth out the bits where I welded. And all these lines have to be sanded. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Well, everybody, I've been doing this for almost 6 hours non-stop, and it doesn't look like much, but honestly it just takes forever. Also, the finish was so rough generally. It's not just the case of trying to get rid of the lines, it's also just trying to smooth it out, and it is taking a long time. So also done a bit more filling and sanding, but essentially I think I've done just over half the car maybe, but I've still got all this to do. These are the bits that take really long. They're going to take forever. As usual, this has taken way longer than I thought. So I started yesterday. I did about 6 or 7 hours yesterday, and today I've been doing another couple of hours, and I think I need another 2 to 3 hours. So I was going to go to the paint shop today, but it's now going to go tomorrow. And I guess it will take, I don't know, Andy was telling me a couple of days to paint it, but I think once we get there, look at things, and he tells me what else there is that needs doing, I might have to do more. So after this initial bit where I'm sort of getting rid of all the lines and the rough stuff, after that I will wet and dry the whole car. The paint is so rough, the finish from what they did before is so rough that I don't think you can't paint over that. It has to be smoothed over. So that's what I've been doing mostly, all over it, as well as those little lines. But on the other side, the round all there, the lines were so, they'd been cut in because of the masking tape had been cut. So it goes all the way down to the metal. So just doing that bit took me about an hour and a half. Time for some wet and dry action to try and sort of smooth down all these scratches that the thicker paper made, and just generally to prepare it. I'm also going to put a spot of washing up liquid in the water, because that will help get rid of any silicates or anything that's left over from polishers or anything that may have been applied to this car at some point. Hello everybody, well, last night I finally got the BisMerc pretty much ready. I put the lights back on, got it back in the garage, and now I am on my way finally to the paint booth to get it painted. Now, one thing I have to say is, apologies if there's a bit more noise than usual, there's no seals at all, so there's air coming in through the windows and so on. But one thing which is amazing, and with the seals it'll be even more incredible, how much nicer it is to drive with the new exhaust, despite the fact it's blowing slightly. But I think you can only hear that at lower sort of crawling speeds. It's just amazing. It just wafts. It feels more, the engine feels smoother. It is just brilliant. Anyhow, gonna get to Andy's now. I'll find out there are still bits of the car that need some very light filling. There's a few little bits. I want to get to him and ask him what we need to do before doing more. My filling, I think my filler is a bit old as well, but my filling isn't great. So rather than just keep filling and sanding endlessly, I'm going to go to him, let him do the last skim, and then we're kind of ready to go. Masking it up is going to be the next step. I'm meeting, so someone's coming in. I've got, I don't know if you can see there's a spare screen there which I got from Jasmine at Frail Bents. Thank you, Jasmine. So the rear screen is going to be replaced as well, and I've got someone coming to cut out the old one this afternoon. And we've had to do a load more work. I have removing loads more stuff. I wanted to get the door handles off as well. They have been painted in situ previously, so I'm going to have to do something with these as well to make sure that they are either replacement or recolor them. But loads of other bits off. Boot, the rear screen ready for the new one, sunroof, etc. So I've got to mask it up, ready for primer. Too much noise in the booth to record anything, but essentially it took me hours and hours to mask it off, which is great. Now it's finally done and had a few complications, but now ready to do the primer, which is the first coat. And we're really late, it's taken ages, so I'm just going to use Andy's gun to do that. And yeah, so that's it for today. It's just the coat of primer, really. There you go, and look at that. Have I not done an amazing job? There's the undercoat, and there's some guide coat. Actually, I'll have to be honest with you, Andy did like 98% of this. I had a little bit of a go, but we're under real time constraints at the moment because we're really late on the day, and I'm using his booth, so I don't want to take up more time of his than I should, and it will take him, he'll do it 10 times quicker than me. So he's done all this pretty much. So let me quickly just explain the principle of why you have a guide coat on. So first of all, you spray the undercoat, which is a sort of a filler primer type undercoat. So it's quite a thick thing, and that is to cover any of the basically imperfections and all that stuff. And afterwards, you're supposed to sand it down. But the way you know to sand it just enough is you put a guide coat on, a very light misting of darker paint. And then when you rub it down, you know that when it's gone completely white, or the colour of the undercoat, then you've got it completely flat. Right, so we've just been filtering, and just so you can quickly see there, can you see that blue paint there? Is that not amazing? Literally, if I could have chosen the colour for this car, that is exactly what I wanted, is a really dark blue. So it's just going to look amazing. BisMerc is finally ready for its colour coat. So I flattened off all the undercoat, did another couple of little bits of filling where there was tiny little specks and imperfections, and now the colour is going to go on. So just cleaned it all off. Also, it was a wet sand that we did, or that I did previously, so had to go over it really carefully, blow all the water out of all the crevices, otherwise when you're spraying on it, water pops out when you least expect it. So took quite a while. I had to recover some of the bits with the paper where it had sort of come off or was starting to peel off. But now it's time for paint. So the base colour is on, and I am absolutely delighted. I am so pleased with it. I absolutely love it. I couldn't have picked a better colour. That's exactly what I could have wanted. Once again, I did do more this time, but once again Andy is doing the lion's share of the painting, and to be honest, again it's late in the day and it's a Friday as well, so I don't want to keep him here longer than necessary. B, he just does so much of a better job than me that I do want to get a good result, and I may as well, let him do it. But yeah, absolutely over the moon with the colour. I've got to say thank you all so much for watching. I've got to get a video out again this week, so the video ends now. The car isn't totally finished, but next week we will get close. I suspect there's so much still to do. I've got to do all the various panels, like the bonnet and everything else, the boot lid, the side, the plastic bits on the side. So I'm going to come back tomorrow and start working on those, I think, and then there's putting it all back together, so a long way to go. But thank you all so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you again soon.